If it feels like the cost of, well, everything has gone up lately, it has. But you probably still want to retire. 4 things you can do during this soaring inflation right now on Retiring Today. Welcome to Retiring Today. I'm here with Chawn, Honkomp, and Loren Merkle. They're both certified financial planners and certified financial fiduciaries, and Chawn is a CPA. Guys, you sit down with people every day. They talk to you and they say, hey guys, we want to retire. Or maybe some are retired, but they're looking at what's going on around them. Loren, you look at these inflation numbers and it's got to be a hard decision, or at least mentally feels like a hard decision when inflation is soaring.
Yeah, the conversation immediately leads to right now, the stock market's going crazy down, which is not a good thing. And everything costs us way much more. So every time you go to the grocery store, every time you go fill up your vehicle, it costs more to do the same things that we were doing 6 months ago, even certainly 12 months ago or 24 months ago. So how do you combat that? Because at the same time, you still want to retire. You still have the same retirement ambitions as what you had 12 to 24 months ago, but now we're in a completely different environment. Things cost way more. Your portfolio is probably way down. And that is leading to a lot of uncertainty in your mind as far as, can you still retire like you had planned?
Yeah, you know, the numbers this summer of 2022, 40-year high in inflation. So you're looking at that, Chawn, you're talking to people. What are they saying to you about how this is kind of impacting them?
What do we need to do? We're getting questions like that. There's always unknowns. There's always uncertainty as we move into new stages of life. You don't get to control what the market's going to be doing at the time you want to retire. You don't get to control what inflation might be doing. When you get to that stage of life when you're ready to take this next step and get into retirement, you want to have a plan so that you are in control regardless of what the factors are, regardless of what kind of conditions and cycle we're in with all these unknown variables that we focus on as we help build the plans.
Okay, so people out there are going, okay, plan, that sounds good. I like having a plan as I enter through life, but let's give people kind of a clearer picture, Loren, of what are the components of a comprehensive retirement plan?
Think about all the things that you need to focus on as you start to make that transition from the working world to the retirement world. That is what is involved in your plan. So your W-2 wages go away. You still need income. Maybe you have a pension. You have Social Security options, a lot of Social Security options. Maybe you have some investable assets to deliver the income. You still have to pay taxes, but you need to pay your fair share, but you don't have to pay more than what your fair share is. There's a lot of strategies that pre-retirees, even retirees, can implement to decrease the overall retirement tax bill. You think about the high cost of health care, or maybe even long-term care way down the road in retirement. We have to incorporate that into the plan. We have the investment plan. How do you create a recession-resistant portfolio so even when the market is like this, you can still have confidence to fulfill your retirement dreams? And then we have the legacy piece. When it's all said and done, you want to leave a certain portion of your assets, or maybe you don't even have specific gifting goals, but whatever is left over, you want to transition to your loved ones and charities in the most efficient way possible. Those are the 6 components of the overall retirement plan that allow you to do what it is that you're trying to do from a retirement standpoint.
Okay, and I know that neither of you have a crystal ball. You've never claimed to. You're not going to tell anybody that you do, but you do build inflation into the plan. But Loren, I'm going to push on you just a little bit here. So you've been doing this for 20 years. So 20 years ago, let's say you met with a couple and they were 60. Were you able to say there's going to be 9% inflation when you guys are 80 and we're going to build that into your plan? Or how do you do it?
What I'm confident being able to say is that some point in your retirement, so you think that you might be retired, you hope that maybe you have a 20 to 30 year retirement. So over the course of that time frame, you are going to face high inflationary periods, most likely. You are going to face, on average, a recession every 5 to 6 years, most likely. Historically, that's the kind of environment we've seen. So we have a high level of confidence over the course of your retirement, you're going to see these same issues that we've seen before. Now, the reasons we go through the recession, the reasons that we have high inflationary periods, those do change, right? We went through the last major recession in 2008, and that was largely driven by the real estate bubble. We went through the recession 2000, 2001, 2002, right? We had 9/11. That disrupts things. We had the tech bubble. That disrupts things. So the reasons why we go through these environments do change. So now, can I tell you in 2022, we're going to go through a 9% inflationary period, we're going to have a 30% drop in the market? Absolutely not. But over the course of your retirement, you will go through these hurdles, You're going to have to overcome them. You're going to have to overcome them with confidence. So these things, and Chawn, you said it really well, it's about the things you can't control. There's a lot of things like what we're talking about today you can't control. So let's focus on the things that you can control. And what you can control is your plan. And you can put strategies into your plan for the inevitable nature of the economic cycles that we go through. And then that way, when we go through these, yeah, it hurts. It's not fun to turn on the news and see all the disaster that the world feels like we're in, but you can still retire. You can still retire and have the lifestyle that you want to. If you are retired, you don't have to feel the anxiety with the thought of coming out of retirement to go back to work, right? You can still fulfill what your retirement vision is, regardless of all these things going on in the world that nobody can really control.
And I think Loren reminded us too in there that it's a long game, Chawn. So when you're sitting down with people, yeah, right now, what we just recently found out about a 13% increase in the price of groceries. But it's a long game, and also the retirement plans you help people build, they're not just for the next year, they're for the next 30 or maybe even 40 years.
Yeah, having a plan is about being in a position that as time goes by, you're in the best position to be able to achieve your goals. So building these plans, we're going to be looking at things, we're going to be getting to know you, we're going to be helping you identify those goals. We want to look at some of these short-term things. What do we know that's in front of us? What do we know? What are the factors, conditions? What's the environment right now? And then be prepared. Loren, you've touched on it. So there's going to be unplanned events. We don't necessarily know what the causes are going to be of some of these unplanned events. And some of these unplanned events may be unfavorable. Sometimes they can be favorable, but we know they're going to happen on average, and they're going to happen. We all aspire, you want to have a 20 or 30 or maybe 40-year retirement journey. We're going to go through some ups and downs. So having this plan puts us in a spot. Let's think short-term, make some short-term decisions. Let's think kind of midterm, what kind of goals do we have there? Where do we envision retirement being? And then we've got to think long-term. And how do we try to maximize all these assets? How do we help our families put in the best spot to achieve the goals and really enjoy these golden years?
And you might be wondering, so how do they do that? How do the retirement planners help people think 30 to 40 years in advance? Well, you can ask them questions about how the process works, or more specifically, how it could work for you based on your situation by scheduling a 15-minute retirement checkup call. This is an opportunity to take 15 minutes to talk about your situation and ask some questions of the retirement planner so they can answer those questions for you. Another opportunity we're going to get into a little bit later is to see this all play out in a fictitious couple, but that could be a real life couple, and a real great learning opportunity.
We use a hypothetical couple example through our online Journey to Retirement workshop, but the strategies that you will learn about are real. I mean, these are real life strategies we implement on a daily, weekly basis with the families that we work with when we build their plans to help negate some of this anxiety that comes with retiring in a really tumultuous time frame like we're in right now.
Okay, so we promised you 4 things you can do. So there's a lot to learn yet still right here in this show. So 4 things you can do when inflation is soaring and you still want to retire. Next.
Biking, boating, relaxation? What's your retirement vision? Learn how to take the money you've worked so hard to save and turn it into the retirement of your dreams during our Journey to Retirement workshop. Like getting ready for a trip, getting to and through retirement takes a roadmap. This workshop is the first step to planning your 20 or 30-year vacation. Go to retirewithmerkle.com to register for our Journey to Retirement workshop this week.
Anytime I have even the smallest question about my accounts or what effect the latest tax law might have on my situation, the Merkle Retirement Planning team is always there and quick to help. I'm so glad they treat you like family. I'm so happy to have such an excellent team working for my future and ensuring I do the best to achieve my financial goals.
Merkle Retirement Planning. Your retirement starts here.
This is Retiring Today with Chawn Honkomp and Loren Merkle, and we're talking about inflation. Everybody's feeling it at the grocery store, at the gas pump, but we talk about taking control. So things you can do right now. Loren, one of the things you could do right now in this inflation situation is reevaluate risk.
It's really important to have a good understanding of what kind of investment risk you're taking in your portfolio, because this is where a lot of the uncertainty and anxiety stem from, right? We go through a recession, the stock market's down, the bond market's down, you look at your portfolio's down, and that bodes for a lot of uncertainty about, can you retire, can you stay retired? And what we find when we sit down with people for the very first time is there's not a lot of real good understanding of how much risk is in the portfolio. So when we go through these times, how would your portfolio react? Are you comfortable with how your portfolio will react? And that's important to know prior to going through it, but most people don't know that. So now that we're in it, have a good evaluation of here's how much risk you're taking in your portfolio. Compare that versus how much risk do you need to take in your portfolio to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, and then how much risk do you feel comfortable with. And then that way you can design some specific strategies of really a couple things in mind. One is what can you do right now when we're in the throes of what we're in the throes of to maybe even take advantage of the stock market and bond market discounts that we see present today. And two, when this market eventually does come back up, because trust me, it will come back up eventually, it always has, and if it doesn't, we're having a whole different conversation. It will come back up eventually, and when it does, now what do you do with this new information that you have to put yourself in a better position for the next time that we go through what we're going through now, because we will go through this again. So having the knowledge of how much risk you're taking, and then some really specific action steps of what to do now, and then what to do later is really important during this time frame.
And that risk conversation is different with the families we're working with. We know that in that accumulation stage of life, maybe not as much attention is given to that. A lot of times we use the phrases, hey, let's be aggressive, let's be moderately aggressive. That doesn't really, there's no exact definition.
What does that mean?
Yeah, your aggressive is much different than my aggressive. And I've got a couple teenage kids, their definition of aggressive is much different than my definition of aggressive.
And even within households, right? When we're meeting with a married couple, we have that conversation. How much risk do you want to take? How much risk do you want to take? And oftentimes it's a back and
Couples
forth.
disagree? No way.
This is the only thing.
Never
This is the first thing. Yeah. So as we go through that process, we do want to quantify this. So the technology we use, the resources we use, we can assign that risk score to the families. We'll be able to look at your current portfolio and put a risk score on that. And then as we work with the families, we help them design their portfolios, make those investment decisions. Again, we're going to be able to assign a risk score, and now we can have that conversation. And just a visit I had just within the last week, much like you mentioned, Loren, sitting down with a newer family, and the husband has a certain level of risk, and he's okay with what they're doing today. And meanwhile, talking to the wife, and she goes, I had no idea we were taking that much risk. Sure. And now we've got to make these decisions together. So what we want to do, we want to make sure we have more information. We want to be a little more intentional, help you have a better understanding of how we're investing, how much risk you're taking, and what that could potentially mean to your overall plan.
And those conversations that we have are really meaningful as well, because with married couples sitting at home, as they're talking about their portfolios going down or up, given the time that we're in, they're probably having a conversation of, I don't like to take much risk, I want to take a lot of risk, but again, there's no definition around that. So the conversations that we have, we really define, what does that mean to you? Mrs. Jones, when you say you want to be conservative, what does that mean? Does that mean your $1 million portfolio, when we go through a really bad time, only loses $50,000? Is it $100,000, or is it zero? Mr. Jones, when you say you want to be aggressive, what does that really mean? The $1 million portfolio, are you able to take a downside of $200,000, $100,000? What does aggressive mean to you? Everybody's involved in that conversation, and that helps us design a plan that works well for everybody. And then there's the expectations in place, so when we do go through these times in the market, everybody understands this is how we design the portfolio. It's doing exactly what it's designed, and most importantly, you can still stay on track for your retirement.
And we know we can't control the overall markets, but this is a way to be a little more intentional about that. We can control how much a certain household or family participates in that by just being more intentional about how much risk we're taking and being intentional about the decisions we make.
And that leads us beautifully into number 2. So number 1, we were talking about reevaluate risk. Number 2, be selective with investments. So let's go into that a little bit further. It just like understanding your risk, it's a good idea to understand what you're doing with your investments.
It's important to know what investment options are out there, what's the purpose, what's the goods and bads. And again, this is a little bit of a shift. When you're in that accumulation stage, it is maybe a little bit more of a focus of around just different asset classes. Diversification means let's get large cap, mid cap, small cap, let's have some international. As you transition to that pre-retirement stage of life or even in retirement, diversification can mean something a little different. It's about diversification maybe in different strategies. So what can we do? We can either take risk with money or we can get some guarantees and some safety. And now it's about understanding, hey, what different strategies are out there? What options are out there? There's things that in pre-retirement stage can be a fit for a plan. that maybe really weren't a fit when you're in your 30s and 40s. So our job as the professionals to help our families. We want to help you understand what else should you be thinking about, understand the purpose, understand how they fit into your plan, and if they fit your plan, then we can make those decisions together and feel really good about what the investment portfolio looks like.
In our online Journey to Retirement workshop, we talk about just this. We use our hypothetical couple, John and Sue, and we talk about how the 60-40 portfolio, right? This is the old traditional 60% stocks, 40% bond portfolio is dead. And we talk about what strategies do John and Sue use to accomplish their retirement goals, even in the midst of this type of economic condition. Right, and we label that a recession-resistant portfolio, meaning that when we go through this type of environment, the stock market's down by 30%. John and Sue, their portfolio will be down, but it's not going to be down anywhere like the market, and it still allows them to accomplish their goals as they try to go to and through retirement. So in that workshop, we specifically outline, here's what John and Sue are doing from an investment standpoint, and why the 60-40 portfolio, the old traditional portfolio, doesn't work, especially in retirement.
Yeah, and it's neat because you get to see it play out for John and Sue, right? Not just in that first year of retirement or that second year, but the long game and also what it looks like to build inflation in as well.
That's right.
Yeah, and those averages, these rules of thumb, they can be great. They can lead to some good conversation. But when you're making an overall plan, when you're trying to make a retirement decision and plan for 30 or 40 years, these averages don't necessarily just work for everybody. That's just the nature of averages. You don't want to go through and make all these decisions based on just these averages that can work out there for a mass. You want to make individual decisions that are the right fit for your overall plan.
It's time for our Ask the Advisor segment. We've been getting some really good questions, so thanks to those viewers who have been sending in the questions. Here's one we got from a viewer in Johnston, a female viewer. She says to us, how would the new proposed legislation to eliminate tax on retirement affect tax-deferred existing accounts? So we'll talk a little bit about what that legislation is. It did pass and it goes into effect in 2023, and we'll talk about the answer to that question next.
The Merkle Retirement Planning Team provides personable and professional expertise unrivaled in this area. They include us in every step of the planning process. The peace of mind provided to us by the Merkle team allows us to fully enjoy this special time of our lives. Instead of feeling snakebit, we feel confident that with the Merkle Retirement Planning Team at our sides, we can navigate any challenge that comes our way.
Merkle Retirement Planning. Your retirement starts here.
Biking, boating, relaxation? What's your retirement vision? Learn how to take the money you've worked so hard to save and turn it into the retirement of your dreams during our Journey to Retirement workshop. Like getting ready for a trip, getting to and through retirement takes a roadmap. This workshop is the first step to planning your 20 or 30-year vacation. Go to retirewithmerkle.com to register for our Journey to Retirement workshop this week.
Here's another look at our Ask the Advisor question. This is a question that we got from Johnston. How would the new proposed legislation to eliminate tax on retirement affect tax-deferred existing accounts? Just a reminder, too, if you want to submit a question that we could answer here on the show, there's information right now on your screen. Okay, guys, how would we answer this one?
2023 is going to bring us a whole new set of legislation when it comes to the Iowa State tax law for retirees. So not for everybody necessarily. There are other components of the legislation that would include others, but today this question is all about retirees, or really more specifically, those age 55 plus who have retirement income. So this would be income that is produced from IRAs, 401k plans, 457 plans, right? Your employer-sponsored plans, plus your IRAs. And Social Security is already not taxed, but that would also be included. You're not going to pay Iowa State tax on your Social Security income. So think about most of where you could get your income from a retirement standpoint. If you're age 55 plus, that income is not going to be taxed at the state level. Brokerage accounts, which would be you have stocks or bonds inside a brokerage account, it's not tax deferred. You're still going to pay capital gains on that like you would at any other time. So it's the retirement accounts, age 55 plus, that are cited within the law.
It is a good reminder, though, the federal government, they're still going to want you to pay taxes on that money, right?
This is only Iowa State.
Okay, all right.
The federal government's still going to want their income revenue, yes.
And there's some certainties in life. Taxes and inflation is kind of a certainty as well. That's what we're talking about now, is some of the things you can do right now with this soaring inflation cost. And so we talked about what guys, we had reevaluate risk, be selective with your investments, and now we're going to talk about develop an income strategy.
One of the primary sources of income for a lot of retirees in retirement is Social Security. We know that is a very important decision to make. Those are questions we get from a lot of families. For a married couple, you have up to 81 different options on how to elect Social Security. So we talk a lot of times about how do you start? How do you start making a retirement plan? How do you start analyzing Social Security and try to narrow down those options? So you want to have some information. You want to feel confident about having that overall plan and knowing how does Social Security fit into your plan.
Yeah, and if you just start looking at those different options, it's daunting. It's daunting because most people go to retirement thinking, well, I'm 62 and I'm going to retire, so I'm going to take my benefit at 62, or I'm going to retire at 66 and I'm going to take my benefit, where in reality, there's so many different options that need to be explored as you look to make that Social Security decision. So when it comes to Social Security and how it fits into one's income plan, we do start with a Social Security analysis and narrow down those 81 different options to a handful that might make the most sense to you, and then put that or integrate that into your plan, and then it makes it a whole lot more clear.
And for a couple, not uncommon that they might receive up to or over $1 million from Social Security alone in retirement. For an individual, $500,000, right? It's just that's how the math works. So let's look at a couple examples as we think about helping our families plan for Social Security and trying to make these decisions. We talk a lot about, in our Journey to Retirement workshop, we go through and look at the Social Security situation for a hypothetical couple, John and Sue. So let's look at John and Sue and what they thought about as they were analyzing Social Security and how we helped them make the decision they felt like was the best fit for them. So John and Sue both had a goal. They did retire at age 65, so they know they had the option to elect Social Security at any point starting at age 65 or beyond. We know there's a lot of different options, and the situation or the opportunity, I guess, that we're going to look at now is what we call a combination strategy for John and Sue. After we did all the analysis, we identified that this is the election option that was going to maximize their Social Security benefit. So what Sue was going to do is wait till full retirement age and elect her Social Security at age 66 and a half. At that time, she was eligible for $1,000 a month. John's plan was to wait and defer Social Security until age 70. They were in a position where they wanted to maximize that benefit and defer that election for as long as possible. We know from full retirement age out till age 70, guaranteed 8% increase in your Social Security benefit. At that point in time that John receives his election and benefit at age 70, Sue becomes eligible for a spousal benefit. So in this situation, she is eligible to increase her benefit by an additional $250. The spousal benefit equates to being exactly 50% of what the higher primary insurance amount or higher Social Security benefit amount was at their full retirement age. So John's full retirement age benefit would have been $2,500, which allows Sue to get $1,250. So now that they both are age 70, they start collecting this total benefit, and they're receiving right around $4,500 per month. Over their lifetime, we use average life expectancy of 89 for females and 86 for males. So John and Sue go throughout their retirement journey, and if they live to average life expectancy, they would have received just over $1 million in their total Social Security benefit. If we compare that to one of their other options, if John and Sue had elected at age 65 versus what we helped them do and elect underneath the combination strategy, they received an additional $83,100 in total Social Security benefit. Because they made decisions like this, they put themselves in a great position to achieve some of their retirement goals.
Yeah, and that's the importance of going through that type of analysis, not only the Social Security planning analysis alone, but also then integrating it into their other plan to take in consideration any pension income they could have coming in, investment income they could coming in, the tax implications of all those sources of income coming in, because at the end of the day, it's about how much income do you get to spend. Right? If you get $100,000 of income, but because of taxation you only get to spend $65,000 or $70,000, that's a whole lot different than if you have $100,000 of income and what you actually get to spend is closer to $80,000. So all of those things come into consideration. But over $1 million of lifetime benefit.
It's great to see.
It's significant, and over $80,000 difference of the conventional strategy, Social Security strategy of just taking it right away at retirement, in that case 65, versus using a more advanced combination strategy. And we're talking about an inflationary environment where inflation's 8-9%. What a way to help beat that inflationary environment is to maximize one of the most important income sources you have, which would be Social Security.
And we promised people, guys, 4 things they could do. And this 4th thing, it's got a lot of pieces to it, but it's develop a plan. So you gave us one example of what a plan for Social Security looks like. You know, helping people develop a plan. Another way to understand exactly what a plan looks like is to attend an online Journey to Retirement workshop.
Yeah, just get started. Get started with whatever your plan is for you, which is going to reflect what your retirement vision is, what kind of lifestyle you want. So we put together this online Journey to Retirement workshop to make it easy just to get started. Get some information about what a real retirement plan looks like. Get some information about what your real retirement plan could look like. And so we made it online. It's 2 hours of just great content. Anna Marie, Chawn, myself are on there talking about specific strategies that John and Sue implement to help achieve their retirement goals. And through that conversation, you can identify some strategies that might work really well for you to help you build your plan and achieve your retirement dreams.
And one of our goals is to help as many families as possible. So we try to make this as easy as possible. 2 hours of your time might be the best 2 hours that you spend. You think about giving 8 hours every day towards work. Take 2 hours, spend 2 hours on yourself and get prepared for retirement. Just get started, like you said, Loren.
2 hours seems like a long time, right? But you can sit on your couch, you're comfortable, have some popcorn, some snacks. A lot of people tell us it's the quickest 2 hours that they have had in a long time because it's packed filled with information that you can use to help with one of the most important transitions of your lifetime.
Okay, so here's how it works. There's a website on your screen right now. You'll go there and you'll sign up. You'll choose a time and a date that works for you. Once you've done that, we're going to send you a kit. We are going to send you a Journey to Retirement kit. So it's going to have some fun things in it, a travel mug and some other things getting you excited for that 30-year vacation that is retirement. But we're also going to send you a workbook. And what that workbook does is it helps you go through this whole thing, this whole John and Sue situation we've been talking about. They're looking at inflation and taxes and all of the components. And you see what it looks like when it's put together in a 30 or 40-year retirement, how it all plays out for John and Sue. So it's a great learning opportunity. It'll get you started on your journey to retirement. But there's another good learning opportunity, guys, right? You know what I'm going to say?
No, but we're listening.
It's this show. It's retiring today, and we thank you for watching.
We should have known that.
Come on, say up.
Biking, boating, relaxation. What's your retirement vision? Learn how to take the money you've worked so hard to save and turn it into the retirement of your dreams during our Journey to Retirement workshop. Like getting ready for a trip, getting to and through retirement takes a roadmap. This workshop is the first step to planning your 20 or 30-year vacation. Go to retirewithmerkle.com to register for our Journey to Retirement workshop this week.